You're listening to Power Talk, Berkeley Electric Cooperative's official broadcast about the cooperative, our communities, and ways to use energy wisely. And now, let's join our hosts for today's episode. Good morning and welcome to Power Talk. I'm Micah Ponce, the Communications and Media Specialist here at Berkeley Electric Cooperative, joined as always by Libby Roeg, the Director of Marketing and Communications.
Good morning, Micah.
Good morning. Well, we have a very hopefully informative show for everybody today. We've got some special guests here in the studio. We have our very own Mr. Bert Walling. Bert, what do they call you these days? What do you do for us exactly?
That's a good question.
We're still trying to figure it out.
Well, I'm going to keep it a surprise.
All right. Something, key accounts.
Officially, he's Director of Key Accounts and Government Relations.
I do. I dabble in a little bit of both and try to bring in new business.
And Bert, what is a key account?
Well, it's not just the largest building on the block. A lot of times it depends on employees, depends on load, and it depends on basically what it means to the community.
Yeah.
So, a key account can be from the small. Yes, that's correct.
So large business, a school, hospital. Yep.
That's correct. Yes.
Well, we have an expert on key accounts in with us today, Mr. James Chavez, the President and CEO of South Carolina Power Team. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Well, one of the traditions that we have here on Power Talk, when we have a new guest, we always grant you with a ceremonial mug.
Oh, so I do get a mug?
Yes.
You do.
I thought this was yours.
Oh, no, that's yours. That's yours to keep.
Yeah, that's going to get a lot of use.
You'll be the envy of all Power Team.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. I'll put it right here. The camera can see that.
We give out good ball caps and fancy mugs.
Yeah. I will say your swag game is pretty strong. We've stolen a few ideas from y'all for sure.
And all the credit goes to Mike Ponce.
Yeah. It's a team effort here, folks.
When we did the bike ride, we were just talking about Vicious Biscuits. The other thing that everybody talked about was y'all brought out all these hats and let them, if they wanted one or two or three or whatever, they still wear it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Representing Berkeley Electric Cooperative in the upstate.
Yeah.
Marketing
Hawaii,
101.
Hawaii. Yeah, that's great.
Well,
good stuff.
Just to embarrass Micah, he is a creative genius behind all of our swag, particularly the apparel.
Yeah, we love it.
Yeah. We put on a 5K every year, and the shirt is just a shirt and metal design is unparalleled.
What you all do, especially with the linemen, so much attention on that and why that is so, for us statewide, so critical, both with the growth that we have as well as just keeping the system going. Right.
Well, before we get too far into the weeds, James, with the other part of the tradition that we have on Power Talk when we have somebody new is just give us a little bit about yourself, professional, personal, how you ended up in the studio today with us.
Well, I was born, no, I'm not going to go back. I did grow up out west. I moved to Georgia back in '94, started doing economic development work there, both in the metro area of Atlanta as well as South Georgia, a very small town, and then 10 years in Tennessee, and I've been here for 11 and a half years. A headhunter reached out and found me. First I said, no, I'm not interested, I'm good, and my wife was like, God might be sending you a little God wink, time for some change. So I'm very grateful. It's gone by so fast. We are, I represent the South Carolina Power Team. We're a 501c3. We're solely governed by the 19 electric cooperatives in our state. They provide all of our funding, any cash we put into projects, anything we put into site development, which if we have time I can get into all that. But the electric cooperatives in South Carolina do a tremendous job of working together, not just working together, but investing together. So if we have a project in your backyard that we are involved with, then all 19 of them have invested in your project. Mm-hmm. The benefit of that is there's some parts of our state where we don't see a lot of economic development activity. Mm-hmm. So, your listeners and your members that are here may not realize that all the good things that happen in Berkeley territory ultimately benefit all of our members around the state. So if I'm down in Hampton County or I'm in Horry County where we haven't had a lot of big opportunities, or Abbeville, what happens here has a ripple effect that helps us keep costs down for members everywhere in the state. So we don't ever have a political pressure to say, hey, buddy, why aren't you doing projects in our backyard?
Right.
We go where the project is a fit, but gratefully they all understand and support the fact that, rising tide floats all boats, literally floats all boats.
Awesome.
That's good.
So you've been in the state a little over 11 years, probably worked with Mike most of that time, our CEO.
I've worked with Mike for quite a while now.
Yeah.
PD when he was in Florence, and now here.
Yeah.
He's actually on our board, so he serves on our board, and he's our board secretary. So he's one of my bosses.
Yeah.
So like y'all, he's my boss too.
So you're nice to him.
Yeah, he's nicer to my staff.
I'm not sure I see him sitting still long enough to be a secretary.
No.
I mean, he's always a whirlwind when he comes through here. So
Yeah.
I was just telling your team that it's taken a whole quarter to try and tack him down for a 30-minute sit down to go over how audit stuff works.
Yeah.
Make sure he's on it whenever we have our next meeting.
Well, James, so as you mentioned, you work with South Carolina Power Team, and it's a full-service, nonprofit economic development organization for the state's electric cooperatives, including Berkeley Electric. You guys help recruit industry to the state, assist communities to prepare for growth, and support existing businesses to retain and help them grow. So tell us a little bit more about Power Team and your vision for the organization.
So when I got here in 2013, so August 2013, one of the things that became real apparent was that we were missing opportunities. So y'all are a great example of, in the 1960s when the state divvied up territory, we didn't fight for Charleston, we didn't fight for Columbia, Greenville, Spartanburg. We took everything else.
Yeah.
Well, now that everything else is suburban,
right.
It's very rural. We have a lot of rural, but it's also second-tier cities and very suburban areas. And as city centers grow out, people on radio can't see what my hands are doing, but as the city centers grew out and the next phase of development became co-op territory. But at back 2014, outside of your market, developers weren't building buildings speculatively. So we needed to do it. So since 2014, we've invested $70 million. And again, that's all 19 co-ops investing together in sites across the state to actually get them market ready. That means buy the site, bring infrastructure to the site, clear, grow, and grade it, bring all the resources so that when a company comes to look, they're not having to deal with all those issues themselves. We've already removed the liabilities. We've really helped their timeline. And as fast as projects are moving today, it puts us in a really good position to compete.
Yeah.
We also have, we also work with developers like here, where, Bert actually is probably he's our primary source of contact for most of the developers, industrial brokers. He and Angela on my team, I think, spend a tremendous amount of time together working projects. She's in Charleston. But, we're teeing up opportunity. The site readiness thing has been a huge success for us to help us land deals. And as that money gets paid back, so through the power bill, as that money gets paid back and all those investments that we made on the front end are paid back to the system, the net benefit of that goes back to our members across the state. So things like that help keep our cost for our members down.
Yeah. Yeah, and at working for Berkeley Electric, it's not lost on us how fortunate we are to have so many resources like Bert, who is in-house economic development focused. But some of our smaller sister co-ops don't have the benefit of Bert, and in fact, they may
don't have the benefit of anybody on your team.
Right. The person who's running member services is also probably managing the Facebook page and, may have to bag up the trash at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So every co-op is different, right?
Yeah.
If you've seen one co-op,
You've seen a co-op.
Yep.
But, here we look to Bert and say, what do you need from us? And he pulls us in when he needs to pull us in.
Yep.
For a Little River, Broad River in the upstate, smaller, Edisto Electric in your neighbor, we are their staff. We're their economic development full-time staff. So we just try to make sure that we are positioned to help in whatever way the co-op needs us to help.
But the benefit of having a statewide focus, I would think, you have awareness of what's going on throughout the state. And while a location in Berkeley's territory may not be the perfect fit, maybe a place over in Edisto is the perfect fit for an industry.
So when I was hired, we were building a nuclear plant, and there was all this capacity that we needed to be selling.
Yeah.
And that's what really changed our strategy. So our organization used to go out and create a lead. We would take that lead and hand it off to our State Department of Commerce, and the hope that they would bring us back in.
Mm-hmm.
Now our focus is we want to go generate the lead, and we want to control it so that every co-op that qualifies for the search is in the mix.
Yeah.
Which is a very different approach, but it's been hugely successful. Our system has been so blessed. When I got here, we were 4,000 megawatt system statewide. In 9 years, we grew by 1,000 megawatts. And 2023, we were 750 megawatts in 1 year. And then last year, 800 plus megawatts. So we've been immensely blessed. The jobs that have come to our territory are creating opportunities we've never had in our backyard before. We say that our work and our collective work really has a potential to change the trajectory of somebody's family tree.
Oh, yeah.
Just because the opportunities that are coming that they haven't had.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about growth, and I'm starting to get into that, the tenured portion of my career here at Berkeley Electric. As a matter of fact, I think this month, 25 years.
Wow.
So, just watching the growth of the system, like one of the easy hallmarks for me is looking at where our old Allendale office is. It used to be on the outskirts of Mount Pleasant, and now it is Mount Pleasant. And our new office is, another 15 minutes down the road. So just in that amount of time, just, watching the cities grow and spread out. In Charleston, it's fairly built out. So, I mean, it's got to come up our way, and it's got to head out towards Allendale and McClellanville.
I ride my bike out in by Seawee. There's a route that goes behind Seawee through the National Forest. And then today I came in 176 through Holly Hill. Y'all, the growth is, I mean, I would, if you've got to be doing 500, 600, 700 meters a month, maybe?
Right at 800.
A month? Yeah, that's phenomenal.
Yeah, we've noticed. We've noticed the growth.
Yeah, I'm sure the traffic and everything else.
I was about to say, even here in Moncks Corner, I mean, that was the other indicator. Just one of those anecdotal things. That used at the old location, at Moncks Corner, you used to be able to just pull out of the parking lot and go on your way. Right before we moved into the new office, it's like you'd sit there. And, I mean, you have to wait for 2 or 3 lights to go through before you'd finally be able to turn out of the parking lot. And I was like, man, this is different.
Yeah.
But here's the blessing: if you're not growing,
oh yeah,
we have parts of our state that are, with all the success our state has had, we are not growing those communities, and we are working very hard to try and put resources in place with the cooperatives that serve those. We call them persistent poverty counties. It's actually a federal classification.
Yeah.
Where we really, really want to do, and we're gearing our incentives to be able to be helpful. But it takes a lot more than just the co-op and the power team. Everybody else has to be on the same page, and that's, something that this region has done very well.
Yeah. I grew up in Walterboro on Coastal Electric lines, but my husband's career took us to the Midwest for a better part of a decade. And as we were moving back, we were selling our house, and the value of that home in 6 years had depreciated.
Wow.
Of a home. And, in comparison, the home we bought 5 years ago is appreciated 35, 40%. Yeah. So we are so fortunate to have so much economic prosperity.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things you had mentioned, you threw away around some big old numbers.
That's what I do. And then I run away from trying to back it up.
I was about to say, though, for somebody mathematically challenged like me, I mean, you mentioned that, we had like 800 megawatts to the state last year. 200 megawatts is right here in Berkeley County for expansion of existing business. But for somebody who doesn't understand the difference between like megawatts and kilowatts, that equals out to about 1,000 or so jobs and several $1 billion in capital.
I learned the best way to help people frame this. Bob Pauling, who's the CEO of Mid Carolina Electric Cooperative, we were at our conference last year, and somebody was asking a question like, what does that mean? right? So 200 megawatts is 200 super Walmarts.
That's
So
a lot of Walmarts.
That's right. So it gives you a very visual perspective of just how big that is.
Yeah, everybody knows what the super Walmart is these
Yeah.
days. So
Yeah.
So that's for the last year. That's how I've tried to explain it to people.
I'll have to remember that. Well, I mean, that's a lot of investment and a lot of growth in the area. So, I mean, what are some of the ways that the South Carolina Power Team accomplishes those type of gains?
Well, more than ever before in our state, the future growth is going to be in co-op territory, right? I think Dominion's system is largely built out for large industrial. Duke, wherever they are, we buy wholesale from Duke. We're their largest wholesale customer in the state, and I think we're third largest in their entire footprint. So one is opportunity is going to come. It's a matter of being positioned to capture opportunity. So the co-ops through our board have given us tremendous resources to work with. I already talked about site investments we make. We make cash investments into projects. So Redwood Materials would be a good one, where the electric cooperative. So the way our incentives work is if we're going to put money on the table for a project, co-op's got to have money on the table first. So it ensures everybody's got skin in the game.
Right.
So when they do put money on the table, we put a cash investment in as well. And that, plus our power rates, plus the support we provide to bring infrastructure to a site, those have been a recipe for success for us in winning deals.
Okay. Well, folks, if you're just now joining us, we're about halfway through the show, and we are talking about economic development and job creation with our own Burt Walling and Mr. James Chavez, the president and CEO of South Carolina Power Team. And Burt, you've been largely quiet, so I'm going to throw this one over to you. We're talking about economic development, and we've been talking about it on a statewide level, but give me an idea, sort of what does that look like here at Berkeley? Some of the big wins that we've had recently, and some of our efforts on a local level.
Yeah, sure. James just mentioned Redwood Materials. Been a great asset for us. Could be a big job growth coming here in the next probably 4 or 5 years.
And for folks who aren't familiar, Redwood Materials does what?
Redwood Materials is out of Nevada, and what they were doing is a kind of a spinoff from Tesla. The owner actually started this business, and they're basically a battery recycler.
Okay.
So they're taking these, they had the vision to know that these Tesla cars on the road, and that's why mostly it was in Nevada, because that's where a lot of the Tesla cars were. They knew that at some point these batteries have a life.
Right, yes.
And once that life does go up, they have to get replaced. Somebody you need to dispose it in a certain way, in a proper way.
But they capture the anode and cathode.
Anode and cathode. So they're removing the I guess the pure ingredients, the earth materials.
The rare earth materials.
That we don't get to see every day. Why not just use that? And that process helps them make new batteries. So they will bring it through a whole new system to make new batteries, as well as being good for the nature. So that's been a very good win. We've had some good projects come in as well. We are working right now. I mean, on a day-to-day basis, we're courting 2 to 3 projects a week. I quoted 2 projects today and meeting 2 more projects tomorrow. So we do see a lot of activity in this area, and a lot of it's going to be data centers. I think it seems like big user data centers.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, that's the world we live in these days.
Yeah, and that's all because of AI.
And cat videos.
And cat videos. And
if
YouTube.
people will stay off their videos on Instagram and Meta and
TikTok.
If they could stop ordering from Amazon, that would be cool.
Yeah.
That's exactly
Help
right.
our system a lot.
If my wife would stop it. No, never mind. I'm not going to say that. Stop ordering from Amazon.
I'm doing my part. I don't have an Amazon account.
My wife makes up for it.
Yeah.
And then some.
Yeah.
I should really know all of our Amazon drivers by name by now. I really should, because I see them virtually every day.
You're breaking down boxes
Yes.
regularly.
So something that I think is really important that we do together is the care that we provide for existing members. So our existing employers that are here, Andrew, folks on my team, and Burt will go and call on several times a year. I'm looking through this thing, trying to get a good eye on you. I should put this down like that. Go out and just one, thank them for their investment, how grateful we are that they are members of our system, but then make sure that if they have issues or opportunities that we're in place to help facilitate either connecting them to the right resources or us bringing resources to the table. I mentioned to Libby last week, we have a lot of our employers in manufacturing, because unemployment is so low, everybody who wants a job has a job. And most people that can pass a drug test have a job. Mm-hmm. So employers are having to make big investments in equipment to supplement output. You know, if they're going to be able to increase output, they can't do it with people. They're going to have to do it with technology. Well, that technology requires a training, and it's an upskill of the current position. So the state doesn't offer any resources for that. So a couple of years ago, we came up with something called an upskill grant, where if an employer has we'll pay up to half or $25,000 of their out-of-pocket costs to train employees. And what we're finding is they'll train 4 or 5 people, but then those people are training people in the plant, train the trainer. Mm-hmm. And it's been wildly successful for us, and industries are making good use of it. We budgeted $100,000 the first year, and we blew past that in 6 months. But just as we're going out and talking about it, and we realize there's an opportunity to be of assistance, then we try to get it on the table.
Yeah. So James, it sounds like South Carolina Power Team gets the right people together at the right time.
Yes.
And recently Berkeley Electric was happy to help host a workforce event that did just that. Brought together county leaders, education leaders, business leaders for an industry education roundtable. So not only, get the right people in the room together at the right time, but also just being proactive and trying to be planful. Mm-hmm. Why is it so important to work to meet the future needs of our workforce?
Because employers are coming here betting that not just today, mm-hmm. but 15 years from now, I'm going to be able to find the right people. Yeah. So then that gets into the work that Caroline Warner on our team does mm-hmm. with education and workforce mm-hmm. and helping communities. I think we actually did a session in Berkeley County last year, right? That was around creating what is the community strategy for cultivating our future workforce. We're hoping, and we hope you guys will help support this, but next year we're hoping that we launch a statewide initiative focused on the value of the trades, that mm-hmm. not every kid needs to go to a 4-year school. I was with a gentleman in Sumter County a few years ago who owns a large construction company. My son-in-law was going to quit college and get his welding certificates, and I was trying to convince him to stay in school. Mm. So when I hung up the phone, Greg says, text him and ask him which certifications he's getting. If he does this, this, and this, I'll start him at $100,000.
Oh my God!
And I pay him a travel per diem. Right. Meanwhile, my kid with a master's degree out of college is making $35,000 a year with her first job.
Yeah. And how much debt does she have?
Well, I forgave her debt.
Yeah.
So she's but
yeah, I mean,
not everybody has that opportunity, right? So using the faces of our co-op members who have done that and try to reach the hearts and minds of pastors, parents, coaches, counselors, teachers, all the kids that all the people that influence kids' decisions, that doesn't have to be the only path. Right. Blue collar is not blue collar anymore. It's high tech. Mm-hmm. And so that's something for us related to mm-hmm. future workforce that we're very excited about.
Yeah. And focusing on the trades is something that, we sing from that hymnal all the time with our linemen, that, it certainly is not a job for everybody. You definitely need to like certain things, mm-hmm. like being out in the heat and
heights,
snakes.
Yep.
The bugs are the bigger problem I hear.
No CMs.
Yeah, so if I were 24 and could make 80 grand with zero college debt, I mean, I wouldn't have believed them.
And probably you help them go to college if they want to go to college.
Well, we put them through college,
Mm-hmm.
We partner with TTC, and as they work their way through the apprenticeship and into the journeyman, they're getting college credit. Yeah.
So we're excited about that. Of course, the CEOs are, their first response about this has been, "Oh yeah, linemen."
Yeah.
Right. We want to be first.
Yeah.
Don't produce them for other employers. Let's take care of us first. but we're excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, and this process begins, early in school age, high schools and things of that nature.
We're targeting middle school.
Right. I mean, Berkeley, I know, has been involved in a couple of projects locally. Where we had helped set up a welding lab at one of the local high schools. And then we also, I think it was more of a one-off, but we had some, I think was it Cross that needed the forklift certification?
That's right.
So we had some students who were interested in getting forklift certified. So we set up a training course right in our own backyard and ran them through the paces and got them forklift certified.
Yeah,
That's
and
awesome.
Timberland and Cross are two of our more remote high schools. So offering these opportunities to those students could be life-changing.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, we're talking about getting right people in the right room, and each spring y'all do the Economic Development Conference. What are some of the goals for this multi-day learning session that we want to inspire people like Bert to go back out there and
You just told me how excited he was to come.
I don't miss it.
So one of the co-op CEOs summed it up last year that when he sends his people to conference, he wants them to be inspired, increase the network, and learn something.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are really the principles of this conference, is making sure that we're touching all three of those.
Mm-hmm.
But, one of our core values as an organization is the role we play as a convener. And this conference allows us to be the convener for the entire economic development community in our state. Anybody who's touching deal flow, we want at our conference. So that's our co-op family, that is local economic developers, the regional folks, industrial brokers, developers, site selection consultants, and then our allies in construction and engineering and all that. So everybody, 250 people on one site. And the only thing we ask is that you be there, actually show up for the sessions, not just be there, check into your hotel, and then, but
right, yeah,
butts in seats. So that's all it takes to get invited back. We love it.
Well, we've talked a lot about the importance of landing that next big fish, but also retaining the existing businesses you have and helping them expand. It sounds like, based on some good information I got from Bert, that we helped one of our local industries, Gerber, with that recently, $25,000 grant for training on
upskill
new
grant.
equipment.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. So how'd that go for them?
I think they're thrilled with it.
Oh, they thank us. They want us to come, and I think they actually asked us to the Christmas party.
Oh.
So, I mean, they see us as a true partner.
Yeah.
I really believe that. They don't just look at us to, when
As
the
a
power.
power
These are not the
provider.
people I pay my utility bill to. We're a partner.
Right.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
I do believe it touched, definitely it touched management. Upper management saw it. And it's just the fact that we're not just here collecting a power bill. We're here to help you grow and support you.
Yeah.
And we want you to be happy. And that's why part of James, his mottos is trying to make sure that the existing folks still don't get overlooked.
Yeah. I'll tell a quick story real quick. I was young, economic developer in Atlanta, and I had a new boss came in. So I was a guy dealing with developers, all the deals. I had a new boss come in and said, look, from now on, I need you to fill out the RFIs, but I'm going to be doing the presentations. In the meantime, I want you to go call on existing industry. And I thought I was getting fired. I thought he was trying to figure out how to push me out. So my first visit was to a company called YKK. So if people look at their zippers, they very likely have a YKK zipper on their jeans. So it was the first Japanese investor in Georgia. Nobody had ever come to say thank you for your investment. I was the first.
Really?
Wow.
And then that's when, for me, it clicked. So any place I've ever been, the hallmark of our organization is going to be what we do to take care of our own. Whatever we do for the new person coming in, we're going to make sure and take care of our own. We want to make sure that we have a relationship with management so that if there's an issue or if there's an opportunity, they know who to call, or they can call us and we know who to call and get the right resource to them.
Well, folks, that was a quick 30 minutes. We thank you for tuning in to Power Talk. This is the official broadcast of your electric cooperative, and you can catch up on past episodes on streaming platforms like Spotify, Apple, and iHeartRadio. And as always, get a behind-the-scenes look on Berkeley Electric's YouTube channel. So until next time, this is Power Talk. signing off.